I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, Mr. Turner.
Commissioner Meeks. Commissioner Eichmeyer.
Here.
Commissioner Metter.
Here.
Commissioner Zimmerman.
Here.
All right, I need minutes approved, a meeting held August 7th, 2023. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, Mr. Turner.
Commissioner Meeks.
Yes.
Commissioner Eichmeyer.
Yes.
Commissioner Metter.
Yes.
Commissioner Zimmerman.
Yes.
Under visitors this evening, ladies softball.
My name's Chamber Weiss, and this is Gracie. We're on the Women's League Board. We're kind of here to ask for forgiveness and permission to use the 4th Street Women's Softball Field, the girls' field. We have a Women's League. This is the 6th year that we've been playing. We have about 80 to 100 women that play every season. We play on Thursday nights. We wait until Little League is completely over, so we don't take away any field from any kid because they come first, absolutely. We just really, all we need is the field itself. We have all of our equipment. We buy our own chalk, our paint. We have our own bases. We have everything except the field itself, the lights, and maybe mowing. I think that's it. Our season goes from, we usually start end of July, beginning of August, and we go all the way through to the very last Thursday of October. Sometimes that's like November 1st or 2nd, but that's as far as we go. It gets too cold after that.
Well, what's the forgiveness for?
Because we already started.
Okay.
So that's the forgiveness part. The permission is to continue to use the field. We really enjoy it. It's a great time. We have lots of people that come just watch that have nobody on the field playing. They just come out to watch and have a good time. I tried to get Susan to come play. So it's a great thing. It's a great thing for the community. Most of the women are from Wabash County. There are some, 2 years ago we had a team come from Owensville. They were hospital employees, some of them. The hospital has a bone crushers team from Ortho, so it's a great thing in my opinion. So
We used to have a softball league here in town, the men's saw, a couple games a week, and that all just kind of fell apart.
yeah, we only play on Thursday nights. We only need that one field. We make it work. We have 7 teams this season. Our summer season started July 21st, I believe, and it'll go through the middle of September, and we start the fall season right after that. That same week we start, and then we play, like I said. I think our last game should fall November 2nd this year.
It sounds great.
So the request is that we put the fields back on mow.
Yes.
We still have them on.
I mowed it once.
Yeah.
We've been mowing in between. Yeah, we have.
Well, there was 2 weeks, 3 weeks that didn't get it, so.
It's probably during the bad storm, but yeah, we're back. He was actually mowing on it today.
Yeah.
And that would be great. I mean, even if it's every other week, just so it's playable is all that we ask, is so we can see the ball. And I don't have nobody tripping over it, so. We got brittle bones out there. We have a woman that's 65 years old that plays.
Not that old.
I know, I agree. She thinks it's pretty old. She makes sure we know.
She's not that old.
Yeah, so I think that's it.
All right, sounds great.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, ladies.
Thank you.
All right, any other visitors this evening? All right, moving on to reports. Well, welcome everybody this evening. We got a lot of stuff going on, and most of it I've been working on with the other commissioners, so I'll just jump in on their reports on a few things, but city's actually been running really good, and we got had a little bit of a hip cup up there at the senior center last week, but everybody pitched in, and we kept it open till Friday, and then right now COVID's going around bad again, so it's just unfortunate. It's going to be like the flu, but anyway, there, making sure all our employees are staying healthy. But, anyway, like I said, we were able to provide foods, to, the home deliveried, people all 5 days last week. We just didn't do the, in-house concrete on Friday just because of staffing issues. Sorry, I stepped on your report, but anyway.
That's all right.
I was
Just
in
be
there-
shorter.
Yeah, I was in there cooking, so anyway. But, so I'll move on to Commissioner Metter.
Thank you, Mayor. The past couple weeks, still working on getting some dangerous trees out of the way and cut down. Some limbs, still working on them. Several, potholes being filled in, a couple other maintenance issues. The street department helped the water department on a water line project, and, you know, mowing and some other things just taking place. Lots of equipment maintenance and repairs. But all in all, things are working pretty good, and we've overcome, you know, quite a bit with the past storm. One thing I do want to bring up and just remind everybody, the city park bathrooms, we've had, if you've seen on Facebook or WSJD, we've had a few issues out there with some vandalism, I guess we want to call it, but I just want to remind everybody, we went a long time without working bathrooms out there. We got them. The community has spent a ton of money on getting them there, keeping them nice, and maintaining them. So when you're out there with your kids, please, you know, watch your kids, and if you see something of that nature happening, or damage, or somebody not treating them with respect, report it. Another thing, there are cameras on the outside of the buildings, so they are being watched, but definitely the cameras are not on the inside, but, you know, I think there was a few questions about that earlier, but I wanted to remind everybody, there are cameras on the outside, and that's basically for protection if something had happened, and also for, if we do have problems. So anyway, just, remember they're a good asset to the community. They're good to have out there. Let's keep them working. So, anyway.
And to follow up with that, we were able to identify who the children were, who they belonged to. Had a meeting with their parents and them. All the children that participated, you know, they wrote apology letters to the city. And then we come up that we felt it was best for sweat equity versus money coming out of the parents' pockets. Hopefully it will build community pride with them doing, you know, this project out here later this summer, this early fall. Right now, just with inflation and stuff like that, it's easy to make a parent pay $100, $200 for the cleanup that we had to do, but in the end, what does that really teach the children? It doesn't teach them anything but mom and dad, you know, losing money. But if they're out there painting on the tank or another piece of playground equipment, hopefully it brings community pride to them, and they want to become more a part of the community later on as they grow. So anyway, but yeah, all four of them wrote apology letters and profusely apologized to me multiple times in my meeting with them today. So along with the parents were not with them. My grandparent was, and the parents were just embarrassed, unfortunately. But we were all kids at one time, and we all made mistakes. We all make mistakes as adults. So anyway, let me hit on the next slide.
Yeah, go ahead.
So 4 years ago, the city was very, very fortunate and bought a 644H loader. This is a very, very large loader. To replace that loader right now, it's a little over $1 million. Anyway, unfortunately, we paid $24,000 for it when we purchased it from FS, and it was, as Commissioner Meeks saw it first, thought he was on Gold Rush, as big as that sucker was. But it's huge. But the harmonic balancer during the storms, we were moving heavy trees and everything else. It's just it's mechanical. It's going to fail. So harmonic balancer broke off of it, broke the bolt off into the crank. To fix it correctly, they would have to completely tear it apart and spend $21,000 just to put a harmonic balancer back on it, not fixing any other issue that they would come across. A complete, no, I'm not even gonna say complete, a once-over, I think is how they said it, Mr. Gidcombe, was 51,000. And that's still not touching other items that need to be worked on. It needs tires, it needs a lot of things still. I have been able to locate a 644K, which is one size smaller, but it still will work very well for what we do. It's the loader that we had before we got from the coal mine. It was an old John Deere. We still do have it. The 644K, even though it's smaller than the H, is still twice as big as the loader that we had prior to getting the H. They're offering us $10,000 in trade, and they want $75,000 delivered for the 644K. Like I said, a new one's well over $1 million, if not more right now. I don't feel that we need to spend $1 million on something that we move trees with, when we can get, 4 or 5 years out of something at, the $75,000 price. So it is not in the budget. Just bring it to you guys tonight, and I guess we will vote on it next meeting. I don't think it's on the agenda, is it?
No.
Okay, so yeah, it'd be something that we'll vote on the next agenda, but anyway,
For clarification, is it 75,000?
75,000, 10,000 trade.
Includes our trade, or
No,
is it
it'd be
65?
65,000.
Well, I know if it's something we need it
It's
sooner.
maintenance, really, I don't think that we have to do a second reading.
Okay, you
on
don't want a second
maintenance.
read, or?
I think we need to get it done, or we could lose out on it. I mean, if there's,
Yeah, I mean, it's,
How many hours does it have, or how old is it?
This one, the 644K, I believe is right at 20 years old. I think it's an 03 is what they said.
and I'll look at the funds, we have capital improvement funds that could be used for this, and I believe we budgeted tires for that.
Yes. And this is,
We had 6,000 put in there for the tires.
and what's nice about this unit, we actually had talked about doing this with the H, was it has, it does have new tires on it, which is nice, but also it's got, quick couplers on the hydraulics and quick couplers on the front end of it. And so we can actually get a grapple for the front of it, or forks or something like that. The H did not have that, and we looked at doing that, and it was close to 15,000 to do that. So it's a more versatile unit than what we have now, so, but anyway.
yeah, we have 174,000 in capital improvements, and I'm sure there was a certain portion of that budgeted, so.
Yeah, I
Where's,
mean,
where's the machine, Joe?
yeah. What's that?
Where is it?
It's in Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Herb has it. Believe me, since, the first week of July, I've been searching nonstop for something and calling dealers, trying to find something, and, everybody wanted for us to spend 2, 3, 4, 500,000 on a used one, and it's just not, feasible for us, so. If everybody's fine with voting this evening on it to ensure that we get it, I'll take a motion.
I was gonna say, how long do you think this one will actually last us? So, if it's 200,000 one, I understand that that's still a lot of money, but if we're gonna be spending $75,000 every 4 years, will it get?
The Cat was 40 years old when the engine went out on it.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Yeah.
I still think if you get this, you've still got a good 20 years lifespan out of
And
this.
to give you an idea, the H has almost 30,000 hours on it. The K that we're looking at only has 12,000.
Okay.
So it's actually pretty low hours. Sorry, I didn't say.
It's not something we use every day, but it's really
Right.
a necessity when we need it.
We use it for salt, we use it for the trees, and there's a lot of trees that we have to move with it, and the brush harbor we have to push up with it.
Yeah.
I say let's get it.
I would make a motion.
All right, I'll take a second.
I'll second.
Roll call, Mr. Turner.
Commissioner Meeks?
Yes.
Commissioner Reitmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Nutter?
Yes.
Commissioner Zimmerman?
Yes.
to report.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Eichmeyer.
Thank you, Mayor. As you noted, the senior citizens issues last week, and I just wanted to thank you. I know you stepped in and did some cooking, and apparently it was goulash day, and you're an expert goulash cooker,
Yeah.
so it worked out
Lucky me.
perfectly. But thank you for your work done with that, and everybody else that assisted. So sometimes you kind of have to do what you got to do there, and they made it work. As far as the finances, we $289,891 in receipts last 2 weeks, $62,407 in expenses, and $3,726,942 as our general fund balance. Most of it was in our main line items: sales tax, state income tax, utility and state use tax. Also, we did receive, and I think Mr. Turner mentioned at the last meeting, just under 57,000 insurance proceeds from the storm and what we got back on that. So, into my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Eichmeyer. Commissioner Meeks.
Thank you, Mayor. Got a short one. I like this new department. Wastewater, they received backup pumps for the lift stations. If y'all don't know what that is, we have stations in town that the sewer, it doesn't always run down, well, it does run downhill, but there's places it has to be pumped up to run downhill. Last power outage, we about got ourselves in a bind, so we now have backup pumps for the stations. Swapped the second chlorine cylinder, and they did regular plant maintenance. Water sewer maintenance, my report says from my foreman, they continue doing day-to-day operations. Into my report.
Commissioner Zimmerman.
Thank you, Mayor. The fire department in the last couple of weeks has had 14 calls with an additional 3 call-outs that were canceled while they were en route. Some of those call-outs were to the college campus, where kids are back in the apartments and fire alarms go off, and then the owner gets on site and takes care of that for them. So just kind of remember that, new cookers don't always remember how to turn the oven on right and do those types of things. So they also assisted with the Youth in Action Try Mutter by filling the pits out at the Youth Foundation Fairgrounds, so that was very much appreciated. And then in their bi-monthly training, with all the water and stuff that we have had in the rains, they talked about focusing on hazmat product containment and control, and how to make sure that it doesn't get into our water systems if there happens to be a hazmat incident. The Brush Harbor, again, just a reminder that the brush and the recycling has new hours, 9 a.m. till 3 p.m. on Friday, Saturday, and Monday. And then just a reminder also that,
9 to 5.
9 to 5, that's right, my bad. 9 to 5. I knew that. 3 o'clock was the old time, 5 o'clock is the new time. Thank you, Mike. So that's 9 to 5 on Friday, Saturday, and Monday. And then,
Sorry.
are we switching that again?
No, it's,
Okay.
It was
it's
just
9 to 5 on Monday and
Monday
Friday.
and Friday, and
9 to
9 to 3 on,
on
see, I knew my
Saturday.
3 o'clock was still in there. Needed to relook that up, so I apologize. Garbage, just a reminder that they will be running as scheduled on Labor Day. That's coming up in 2 weeks. So on September the 4th, garbage will run as scheduled. And that's the end of my report.
I'd like to add a couple things. On the brush, if you have a tree that's touched by a contractor, that contractor is responsible for the brush cleanup. We are not. Also, if you have property that you don't have a home on, that you're not paying a water bill on, you're not paying for brush pickup. So we don't usually pick up the brush there either. So the brush harbor is open Monday, Friday, and Saturday for your convenience. So please, we've had a couple trees here lately that the crews have come across and that they know contractors have touched. Our crews are around and they take notes. So don't try to slide in a tree that we know you didn't touch, making us clean it up, because it's an expensive endeavor for us to do a whole tree cleanup. During the storms, we let things slide, but that was just because of the massive amount out there. But most contractors know that they are supposed to clean it up, not putting it out for us. So we appreciate everybody you know, doing the right thing and not trying to put that burden on us, because if people continue to do it, we're gonna have to revisit the fee, and, you know, we don't wanna do that, so, anyway. I had a couple, let's say, nasty messages this last week about why aren't, you know, well, one, going on Facebook, calling our employees lazy, I won't tolerate, especially when it's not true. We have very hardworking employees, we're, you know, like I said, just because they don't do what you want doesn't mean that they're lazy. It's, they know the rules that we set them by, so appreciate everybody keeping up with them, so. All right, moving on. Mr. Turner.
All right. First, later on, when we go down to old business, you'll have a second reading of 2094. I'm gonna hand these out to you. It's reference 615 North Chestnut, or I'm sorry, Cherry. We can't vote on it yet or accept these, but this is just some criterias that you may wanna look at after talking to our attorney on the last, one that we had uptown, that, you know, the parcels can't be separated. The minimum building cost is up to you guys, and the time frame to start and complete the project. So Mr. Gichtenmeyer worked on that today. We contacted a local contractor. He's roughly stating a new build is about 250 a square foot for a home. So that's just something to think of when we move down to the new business, or I'm sorry, old business. And then the last thing I have, which is not the best thing to report, is we've had a price increase. Number 3, number 4, and number 5 come in from Kiefer Brothers. 3 and 4 have to do with concrete, the increase in concrete cost, and 4 has something to do with the increase of the rebar that is used in the concrete process. And on increase number 3, it's $26,148.55. Increase number 4 is $44,115.07. And the last one is the electrical. They're stating that price has increased, and they did present the increased price to us as $172,611.60, so $172,611.60, for a grand total of $242,875.22. We met with our engineers, we met with Kiefer Brothers. They stated this would be the last, they believe this to be the last material increase due to the stage that they're in, and everything's been ordered. So, but obviously this is way above my threshold to approve, so it's back at you guys to put it all in.
And to point out, this is Kiefer Brothers contractors that are doing this. And also, you know, what we're running almost a year behind on construction, just because, I mean, we as a council pulled them off to the water plant and put them on Division Street because of the emergency down there. So some of this is our burden. But like with the electrical and stuff, the company that is doing the electric, Sterling, down in Evansville, they rebid, you know, like the switchgear. What a switchgear is it is a big, big breaker. And it controls all the 3 phases of the plant, and then it's broken out into sub-panels. But that switchgear itself, they ordered it, and it's 45 weeks out. We're not due to get it until April of next year, which is gonna be a little bit more of a delay too. But, you know, all the panels, everything, they've just seen an increase since they bid it originally, and it's just basically caught up with us. So. So we're looking for an approval for these work change orders. If anybody wants to.
What other option do we have?
You know.
That's what I'm saying.
The only other option is go back to Kiefer's and renegotiate, but I mean, it is what it is on the price increase. two options, accept it as is, or
Do we need a motion for this?
Yep.
yes.
Or maybe,
I have a second.
Second.
Roll call, Mr. Turner.
Commissioner Meeks?
yes.
Commissioner Eichmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Metter?
Yes.
Commissioner Zimmer? End my report.
All right, Mr. McCollum.
Thank you, Mayor. I have nothing to report at this meeting.
Okay, Mr. Scratch. Chief McWilliams.
Back to school, no real issues, seems to have went fairly seamlessly. As far as, in college, we haven't had any issues, luckily that's been the fire department with their fire alarms. But, so, all good there, business as usual otherwise. I would just note, this emergency response group, we met again, that I think I've touched on before. We had a meeting last Thursday, and we are gonna continue to meet on a monthly basis as we try to fine tune some things. Biggest takeaway that I think is important to the community is, one of the biggest questions we get asked every time there's a weather event or what have you, is there a shelter? And generally we, other than maybe utilizing the senior center, we didn't have a connection to have an immediate shelter. And Mark Majors has, with emergency management, has formed a partnership with EU Church. And they have keys, they're working on getting their staff together so we can, what we really want to do is be able to announce prior to an event that they are ready to go, so people aren't calling emergency services trying to figure out where they're supposed to go if it does happen. Hopefully nothing happens and they close up and go home. But, once that's in place, which they're finalizing that, we'll be able to immediately announce to the public and share where they need to go. That way they're not calling dispatch or anyone else when, quite frankly, we are tending to other things that are equally as important. It's just one less thing on the plate. Then we're also working to revamp our radio frequencies on our radios. That way we can better communicate. Appreciate all the department heads that have made time in public utility to come to these meetings and really lock these things in, so when it does happen, we're much more ready to go. Into my report.
I think one of the biggest takeaways that everybody's seeing is their protocols versus our protocols and merging those together to make it safe for both our crews and be able to educate the community on how our joint protocols work. And that's been very beneficial in these meetings.
Absolutely. Public utility, obviously, what they're looking at is much different than what we look at or what the fire department looks at or any other public works. Everyone's got their own vantage point, and when we all understand where everyone's coming from, it's much easier to understand what can happen or what needs to happen so we can move forward. So it's been very beneficial.
And what also is nice is they have to report to the Illinois Commerce Commission, which we don't. And so the Illinois Commerce Commission has different rules and protocols than what we have to follow. But what is nice is that they've been able to bring questions to us for us to implement in our processes that don't involve an emergency per se, but help us prepare for other utility companies coming in and doing boring and helps us, protect our infrastructure. So anyways, thank you, David, very much. Thank you. Is that it?
Yeah, that's all we got.
All right, thank you, Chief. Chief Speth.
The only thing I really have is, we got all three of our engines, our ladder and our tanker all pump certified, which we're required to do every year. So that's all completed. Probably within the next 2 or 3 weeks, we'll start testing hose. With over 6,000 feet of hose, it takes a while to get everything tested, so be doing that on some Saturdays and stuff, try to get that done before winter time comes around. So, other than that, it's in my report, Mayor.
I met with Evansville Fire Chief Conley and Assistant Chief Ansel on Friday and requested that we be put on their list of surplus fire apparatus equipment, notice. They actually, what'd they say? They're getting ready to get 5 new trucks within the next year and a half, and the cheapest one's 1.5 million. And anyway, or no, that's not right. No, 14.5 million, sorry. They were going on how much a ladder they're just ordered. They got number 10 that was up at the show that you and Susan went to. Said that one was like 7.5, 8 million, but now they need another one, and it's over 10 million. And anyway, he just was going on, and I'm like, we take donations. So anyway, but yeah, it's a really good conversation with him, meeting with him and Mayor Winnicky down there.
Yeah, we've discussed this, last 3 years, the price of engines and ladders has just went up 400% or 500%, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy, but, all right, thank you for the report. Mr. Gidry.
All right, in the next few weeks, they're going to be asphalting the 100 block parking area in the 100 block of East 4th and East 6th. I can't give you an exact time, but do you have an exact time now?
Yeah, I spoke with the contractor this afternoon, and their intentions are this coming Monday to do 4th Street, both sides of 4th Street. Tuesday, do 6th Street, finish up what they didn't get done on 4th.
Okay.
They've asked that, obviously, that we could have no parking there while they're trying to do the work. They've also asked if they could, for Monday, if they could block off half of that block from the police station alley, called the East Alley, back up to the stoplight or the intersection. So it would just be safer they can complete their work a little bit faster, and it would be safer, because they're gonna be coming in there milling and, taking out some stuff, and then they were gonna have same-day delivery trucks, laying asphalt, whatever. So I'll check with the police department, we can coordinate it, and I'll check with the courthouse and let them know that that parking won't be available for them.
Yeah, instead of blocking it off, letting that, businesses like Eclectic and around the corner and stuff.
Found that out this afternoon, so.
Okay.
All right, and the other thing is, we have been working on kitty land since it is dried up. We got quite a bit of it put in today.
I wasn't going to jinx it.
I'm not gonna finish anything else other than we got quite a bit of it put in today. End of my report.
Thank you, Ms. Gidkin. Mr. Dallas, did you have anything to follow up?
While we were on the maintenance program, that should be about the end of the summer maintenance program. I just wanted to say a big thank you to the street department and their personnel in assisting, like with keeping cars off the road and helping with traffic control and things of that nature. Tyson, you guys did a great job. They know what needs to be done, but there's still a good cooperation between the contractor and the city, and it makes it go very well.
That's awesome. Thanks. All right, under new business, consent agenda, do I have a motion?
I'll make it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, roll call, Mr. Turner.
Commissioner Meeks?
Yes.
Commissioner Eichmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Metter?
Yes.
Commissioner Zimmerman?
Yes.
Okay, under old business, I've still not heard anything back from Corporate Republic Services on the contract extension. I reached out to them today and didn't hear anything back, so hopefully within the next 2 weeks, we'll hear more on that, if they've accepted it or if they've countered it. So hopefully they accepted it as is, so we'll find out soon. Did we finalize the criteria for the sale of 615 North Cherry?
No, you need to approve the second reading first of 2094 and then have discussion.
All right, second reading of the ordinance. Need a roll call on that one?
Yes.
So I need a motion for that.
Motion to sell.
Yeah, motion to sell.
Cherry.
Have a second?
Second.
Roll call, Mr. Turner?
Commissioner Meeks?
Yes.
Commissioner Eichmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Zimmerman?
Yes.
Commissioner Metter?
Yes.
suggested criteria for 615 North Cherry Street. Under number 1, parcels can't be separated into individual parcels. Is everybody acceptance on making it together?
That's how it is now.
You know, it's
Together,
two separate
It's two parcels.
parcels. The front, if someone would buy it, they can separate it technically, and we're asking that they not do that. You'd have a house in front and then a house that's only access would be the alley. So if we'd ever go to vacate the alley or need to, we wouldn't be able to because we did not have access.
Okay.
And then minimum building cost for a single-family dwelling is $175,000. Local contractor that Mike and Ryan worked with today said it was $250 per square foot to build new.
And we just threw that price tag out just as a starting point.
A suggestion, instead of a top dollar amount, the minimum dollar amount, what if you went with a minimum dollar amount per square foot, and that way, the bigger they make the house, the more it's gonna be, rather than saying 175,000, then somebody comes in and puts in a 1,000 square foot house. So what if you went with the square footages, or the cost per square foot, versus having 175 or 250,000?
Yeah, like 175 was just a talking point, just to, I don't know that you could build much for 175
You could not.
pieces.
No.
I think it's 700 square feet of piece off contractor.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was like, I'm like, am I doing my math right?
Yeah, and that's it.
Okay,
I can't find it.
do we know what the average square foot of the houses are on?
1,900, or is it on the lot itself, or the
No, on,
average size of the house?
on Cherry Street, like what, so, I mean, we want it to fit in with the neighborhood.
Right.
I mean,
It's $175,250 square foot, it's only 700 square foot.
Correct.
yeah,
Well,
so it's a
then
tiny
that's-
house, it's a tiny home,
That's 475.
Storage shed.
yeah.
Man,
That's why if you went with minimum per square foot cost, then if they wanted to go with a 2,000 square foot home,
But if we do a minimum of 250 square foot, would we not still need to put a minimum of how much it would be? Because maybe they do put a 700 square foot house on it.
then you're gonna be up around 400,000 if you wanna.
Yeah.
1,900 square foot at $250 is $475,000. So, yes, sir.
But, and I hate to interject, but
Yeah.
I remember a story, Oressa Heights, whenever it was first built, their covenants required that it be a minimum of and I don't remember what the dollar value was. But 30 years later, there were some houses that would come in and put in that were not stick-built,
Right.
and they still met the criteria of the value of the house that had to be put on.
Yep.
They weren't near the quality of some of the homes out there that caused a big
Right.
to-do.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
So I think that what Mike is saying is that probably the size of the house, the value or the going price will dictate itself. But I think that there
Yeah.
needs to be something about the minimum size of living area or whatever.
And it's something we can table, but revisit, but it's whatever you guys decide.
Any other comments? I mean,
I think the minimum square footage would be the way to go, really.
yeah.
I would agree. Yeah. 700 square feet, like I said, it's a storage shed.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Pretty
27 by 27. That's 500 square foot, so, or so 540. I do 1,500.
That's what I was saying.
15 to 16 would be good.
Well, you do 1,500 and then, you know, that's,
Three bedrooms.
Gotta give you 3 bedrooms, that'd be about it.
yeah,
Three bedrooms, 1.5 bath, probably.
yeah. And with the size of that lot, it's not a super wide lot, it's just deep. So you're gonna have to build 1,500.
I do.
Everybody fine with 1,500 square foot?
And there's no objection to 1,500 feet. You guys need to look at a time frame to start the project. It's, with construction and contractors' lack of availability, it could be a lot longer than like 8 months.
Yeah.
So it could definitely
Year
be.
and a half to 2 years.
That's what I was thinking.
It's hard to find by right now, anything in quick.
Do we need to put the stipulations in so that we don't have some, that it does need to be a stick-built house and things to that account?
I would.
I don't know. Proper terminology for that.
Stick built. Yeah, stick built.
I guess they would be required to maintain it until they start construction, right?
Yeah, yeah,
You might want to include it in, not a modular, be specific.
yeah.
Yeah. In addition to stick built.
Or a
Manufactured.
non-variance included, that lot's not accepted, or, they can't apply for a variance to the current location, which would require a home, single-family dwelling. It's not in
No. If somebody were to come in and meet our criteria for a modular home with HUD, they don't have to go through a variance. It's part of our ordinances, so you need to stipulate.
Non-manufactured.
Yeah.
That's a lot I mowed, Mike, that real rough lot.
We said 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
2 years to start the project or finish. Yeah.
interest rates may go down by that time. All right, so for clarification, parcels will not be separated. Minimum square footage, 1,500 square feet. 2 years to complete the project or start the project? Start.
Start.
Okay, and stick-built home, non-manufactured homes are not accepted. Yep, I'll get with our attorney to come up with this, but other than that, you've already voted on selling it, you just have to put those stipulations in bid. How about bids actually go out a solid month?
Yeah, I was
Because
saying that
that's gonna
somebody,
take a while.
yeah,
Somebody's
somebody's
gonna have
gonna
to
need to think about whether or not they can
Right.
really do that or not. What happens if it
they
falls,
don't.
if they fall through, what are we
It
gonna
reverts
do?
back to the city's property.
Okay, with no refund of what they paid for the lot?
Determined.
Well, we can put a requirement in the deed that they comply with that if not, it comes back, so.
How about cost, like?
So like,
I
if
mean,
they,
because
if
we're-
they paid for it and then it ends up falling through, that they don't end up,
That would be up to you all. I mean, you could do it either way, that if you're paying for the right, basically to build the house, and if you don't do it, you give up whatever you paid for the lot. If that's the way you wanna proceed, however,
for 50%
Or at least
or,
50% of minimal or something, because we'll have legal fees
Yeah.
and everything else included, so. 50% of winning bid.
yes. Are we setting a minimum for the bid?
We'll reserve a right in the thing to accept
Okay.
any or all, or any bid. We
Right.
can refuse.
Which isn't automatic anyways. So.
Yeah. Well, I always put it, yes.
into executive session for consideration of discussion of non-union employee employment, executive session pursuant to Section 2C1 of Open Meetings Act, the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, and dismissal of specific employees. Need a motion? I need a second. Roll call.
Commissioner Weeks.
Yes.
Commissioner Eismeyer.
Did you-
Commissioner Mathis. Commissioner Zimmerman.
In accordance with the Illinois Open Meeting Act, City Council may enter into executive session in any such case, any such matter. The executive session shall be confidential. No disclosure of any discussion held or any decision made in executive session shall be made until publicized by announcement, publication, or official action by or at the direction of the board. Violation of this section by any member of the City Council shall be considered a breach of the member's office and employee's fiducial duty to the city. Any individual found by the City Council to be in violation of this section may be terminated, disciplined, censured, reported to the Wabash County State's Attorney for consideration of misconduct charges under the Illinois Criminal Code or the Illinois Municipal Code. Okay.
Recording's been stopped.